mechanically, what I'm looking for is the arches of your feet to line up with your knees, your hip. All of this is in alignment.
Okay.
That's good. You want the top of your knees to be over your shoelaces. Now, that's going to depend on how long your arms are, how wide your shoulders are. You got really wide shoulders for a short guy, so you're going to have to bend more to accommodate that.
Right.
So that's fine. Your setup, weight distribution is good. As you take the club away, it gets inside a little bit. Now, that's something we're gonna change. Okay, so you're taking the club away with your hands a little bit. So your first move is with your hands. I don't want you to do anything with your hands. Jackie Burke told me this a long time ago. I was with Hal Sutton down at Champions, and he said, look, the more you use your hands on the takeaway, the more you have to use your hands to recover.
Right.
And it made perfect sense. So don't use your hands in the swing on the takeaway, and you won't use them. You're less likely to use them, period. So what does that mean? Well, let me just get rid of this pressure trace for a second. Everything I say is being recorded, so you'll be able to, listen to it. I'm going to use a guy who plays in Europe. I got these videos from PGA Championship.
Nice.
All right, now you notice he's got a alignment rod down. That's something everybody should have. Practice, make sure you're aligned properly. But now what I'm going to call your attention to is his hands are going to stay on that line for a long period of time, and the club shaft is tracing that line.
Right.
That's what we want you to do. He's not doing anything with his hands. So your club's going in there, right there. So that's a lot of hand action. Now, you're a good athlete, you got good hand-eye coordination, so you figure out a way to hit it. But you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that, because now you got to figure out how to use your hands properly in your swing. The end of the result here is the club's in a nice position there. Not too dissimilar to this guy's right-handed, but the software made him left-handed. Not too dissimilar there. I mean, that's good. You're a different build.
Right. He's got flexibility. I don't.
Well, he's 25.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
it's not a fair fight there.
Right.
But now, as I indicated in your swing, that shaft's a little steep for me.
Yeah.
So here's what typically amateurs do. They take the club back on a shallow plane, as indicated by this line I'm about to draw.
Okay.
That's 30-degree line, we'll say, or whatever it is, 39. Okay. When you come down, the club is on a steeper plane. So now when you come down, the club is in the same position, the club is on a steeper angle. Well, that's opposite of what tour players do. Okay, so what they do is they go back on a steeper plane, going back by keeping their hands in close to the body, not using the hands. Okay, his club shaft's 70 on the backswing. Your club shaft we saw was 39. So your club is coming inside and getting shallow. We call that shallow or flat. And then, what he's going to do, he's going to go up to the top. I'm going to put a circle on his hands. And we'll be able to see his hand path. And then I'll put a line right here. Sorry, that's a circle, not a line. And his hand path will be pretty much on that line. But what you're going to see in slow motion is the plane of the shaft is going to come down shallower. Shallower meaning less of an angle. So there's his downswing plane. So his backswing plane, and this is characteristic of most all tour players, except for Brendan DeYoung. He's a little bit under and over.
Right.
That's not bad. I'm not saying, and that might not be for your build. This might not be your swing.
Right.
Because guys that are typically wide and thick, they might not be able to do this.
Right.
But we want to match those plane angles as close as possible. I don't care if you say to me, look, I just can't get it shallow on the downs. I'd say, fine. But here's the deal. I don't want it to be 39 on the backswing. I want it to be 50 on the backswing or 60, so that the swing plane is congruent.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They're similar.
Right.
So you're not going back on a shallow plane and then coming down on a very steep plane. All right. So let's look at one other thing. Your posture. Not too dissimilar from an athlete, which you are. You can see he looks very similar. He's got the amount of knee flex you do. His back is nice and straight. He's bent from his hips like you're doing a deadlift or a squat, which is good. You want to be bent from your hips. All right, so the plane of your swing What do I say in a perfect world? For you, it may not be as shallow as some guys because we haven't done your biomechanical measurements. But if your forearms are longer than your upper arms, your swing's going to be steeper. If your shoulders are really wide and your wingspan doesn't exceed your height, you're not going to have a high swing. If you're Michael Jordan and you have an 82-inch wingspan and you're only 6'5", you should have a high swing because that accommodates your biomechanics.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
So, I have short arms. My arms are 2 inches shorter than my height. So I don't have an upright swing because it doesn't do me any good to have an upright swing. I got alligator arms.
Right.
So you take the biomechanical measurements and you match them up based on your swing. So in my estimation, that takeaway is the biggest thing I'm going to focus on. Your downswing plane, is it a little steep? Yeah, but it's only steep by 2 inches. So all we got to do is get those planes to match up a little bit better. That's all.
Okay.
That's it. What's great about your swing is you don't have a lot of up and down movement or side to side movement. I would say for your build, you have a big chest. I don't think you should have your hands that close to your body. I think we want to raise your hands up a little bit higher. Yes. So the shaft, so by getting the shaft a little bit more vertical, you give yourself more space. And you need more space because you got a lot of mass. So if your hands are in here, that's not doing yourself a service because your body's too big for that. You need it up a little higher. So that's what we're going to do. Now, by raising your hands up, it's going to take your hands out of the swing. That's it. So for your build, you lift your hands 2 inches at address. That's it. You can see you raise up a little bit.
Yes.
So, but, that's not a problem. Kenny Perry raises up every swing. Okay? What the problem is if you stay raised up.
Right.
Well, we have to look at your clubs. Are your clubs standard length?
I've forgotten.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I got them fitted at. These were fitted at the ping plant.
Oh, beautiful. Then they're fit properly. I don't have to say any more.
I think because I've choked up a little bit more for a little more control.
Right, I noticed that.
Yeah, I went for control more than swing speed or whatever you want
Right,
to call it.
and this is not a bad thing that you come up because I don't really I think it's your setup. I think you're too low at setup. I think if we raise your hands up 2 inches higher,
So we're talking, this is normal.
Right.
What I'm saying is to
just lift them up a little bit, yep, and stand up just a fraction taller. That's it.